Good afternoon, Efe. How are you today?
I'm
Mingo,
very
sir.
well, thank you.
Good. Elia, how are you?
Fine, sir. Mingo, sir.
Brenda? Okay. James, how are you, James?
I'm fine, sir. Good morning.
Good afternoon and evening. Brenda?
Sir?
Talking about Brenda?
Mingo, sir.
Brenda, I know you will not be able to talk where you are. I think I was in you're working, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you can talk, you talk. You can use the chat box, you can. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. While waiting for others to come, please just go through what we have, examined last week, if it is possible, because I'm going to ask those who were around to articulate what we have learned last week. Okay, I'll give you opportunity to have that done, waiting for others to come. Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Welcome back again, and I want you to tell me what we examined last time we met. Everyone. Right. Paul, you're welcome. James, you were here last week.
I was.
Okay,
Can
what
you hear
did
me?
you examine? Yeah, I can hear you now. What did you examine last week?
Okay, last week we were on data architecture and we talked about different aspects of data architecture, which we discussed about data modeling, data warehousing, and data integration. And for modeling, we said it's a visual way of representing your data like a chart or a diagram, which you now show in that same drawing. You will now give aspect using symbols to depict data flows, how it goes from one process to another process. That's your data modeling. And then we talked about data warehousing, which in warehousing, we are talking about a centralized repository for
That's
large amounts
correct.
of data. And
Good.
it's designed to support business intelligence and other things to help improve the business. And
Yep.
then for data integration, we talked about a record of the data assets an organization has and the type of formats, its location, ownership, and various ways of taking inventory of your data.
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Any other person? Any other person?
We also talked about, apart from architecture, we also talked a little bit about mind mapping, and we said it's a virtual technique for organizing and structuring information. We talked the benefits are it improves creativity, it helps us to be better organized, and it helps us to enhances our memory. We also talked about the history of a product. When we talk about the other history of a product, how you can follow the steps. And that was when we talked about other warehouse known as a distribution center. And I think he mentioned data repository. I'm not sure. We talked about data repository. He said it's a location where data is stored, managed, and it can be retrieved. We looked at different types of data warehouse, database, data lake, and all that. We also looked at inventory, which refers to the goods, materials, or products of a business holds for sale, production, or distribution. We looked at all examples with regards to all these things. We talked about data in real time. We looked at data integration. We looked at ETL, API integration, and data visualization.
Yep.
Examples of data integration includes customer data, financial data, different kinds of data. We looked at I think we're looking at the healthcare sector as one of them, combining patients' data. We also looked at data standardization, which refers to the process of establishing a common format and structure for data across an organization. And within that data standardization, we looked at different types of data formats. Remember vividly, one of them was JPEG and how we store audios or how we store videos. We looked at different formats. We looked at PDF. So we can store in PDF. Looked at various ones like Excel, Word, Microsoft Word too. There were lots of things we looked at last week. MP4. We also looked at best practice. What the best practice or guidelines are that are widely accepted when it comes to data management. I think we looked at data. Part of that was looking at data security, how we can secure data. And, using passwords, cybersecurity, using different authentication methods. Then I think I talked about. Okay, no, I didn't think about it because I was looking at best practice in construction, which is one of my industries. We also looked at scalability, which refers to the ability of a system to handle increasing amounts of data without compromising performance. So we said a scalable system can efficiently process and store growing volumes of data. And one good form of this is, when I looked at it later on, was Excel. Using Excel. Excel is quite good, but then you have other things like Power BI, which stores even more information. I think that's all I can remember. There were loads of things we looked at anyway. Thank you. Classification, access control. We also looked at data lineage, data catalog. So they were all kind of intertwined when we're looking at everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, that's well articulated by you. I mean, we actually spent a lot of time, you know. We spent a lot of time. On some last time we met, because if you look at all what James and Nefi have just said, I think we spent a lot of time, you know, in getting things done. That's good. Good to see. Good to hear from you people, and good to know that a lot of people have assimilated what we examined last week. That's good. Right, no problem. Today we're going to examine data quality, and I'm going to give you opportunity to everyone to speak about data quality. Those who can talk. What is data quality? Okay, and if you can't speak, make sure you put it on the chat box. I'll give you 3 minutes to get that done. What is the
You've got mute. Okay.
I say your time start now. What is data quality?
Data quality refers to consistency, reliability, and accuracy of the data. Because if we don't have accurate data, or if we don't have data that is consistent or reliable, it might lead us into making ill-informed decisions. So, but when the data is correctly represented, i.e., say for example, not i.e., e.g., in a hospital, if you go into the hospital, they will ask you what your date of birth is, your address, your telephone number, and all that. If there is some anomaly on the system, because it's not as accurate as what you have given, it will flag it. It will flag it up on the system to say that is the wrong person they are speaking to. So it needs to be correct. In fact, it might, if you have some urgency that you need to deal with at the hospital and your date of birth on the system is wrong or has not been properly input in the system, it will delay them attending to you because they'll begin to think you're not who you say you are, even at the banks. So data needs to be accurate. It needs to represent reality. And above all, it needs to be complete, because you cannot say you live in Shangota in Nigeria and what they're seeing on the system is Akure in Nigeria. So it means it's not complete. So you might be telling them lies, especially if you want to do something. So data needs to be consistent and needs to be reliable. And every time you go into the hospital or wherever you need to use your data, you can't say, I was born in 1975. The next time you go, you say I was born in 1980. The next time you go, you say I was born in 1995. It means your data is not accurate. So, and people will tend not to believe you. So organizations pride themselves on making sure that data is accurate, is consistent, and is of relevance. So that's how important data quality is. Thank you.
so much. Thank you so much. So, any other person? Any other person?
Pastor, what's the question?
What is data quality? Any other person? So, Paul said Brenda said data quality is the accuracy, completeness, consistency, relevance of data, essentially engaging. Okay. All right. Paul Kenneth said data quality measures how well a data set meets the standard for accuracy. And there, yeah. Okay. All right. That's very good. Blessing, are you there? Okay. All right. Now, let me proceed. Thank you for, at least we have some insight into reality of what data quality is. Okay. Now, that being said, I want us to realize that it's one of the most important aspects of data governance. Let me share what we have here. Okay. Let me know if you can see what I'm sharing. Can we all see what I'm sharing? Can we all see what I'm sharing?
We can.
Sorry?
I can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So, like I told you, we're examining master data quality, which of course is strategy approach to achieving the characteristics of data quality. Okay. Now, thanks for those who define it correctly and what it entails. So data quality actually refers to the condition or characteristics of data itself that determine its fitness, for use in a particular context. So the same kind of, it depends on how you define it, how you look at data, like you have different definitions. It's not really, it's not really kind of personal to mine. It's just like you need to define data quality the way you relate with data in terms of quality. So, like myself, I kind of define data quality as a condition or characteristics of data that determine its fitness for a purpose or for a particular use in a context. So high quality data is essential. And actually, like as Ife said, it's a very effective in decision making. A lack of it will result to a lot of problem. So very effective in decision making and regulatory compliance, operational efficiency, and also strategic planning. That is how data quality is. So, but however, we must understand it has dimensions. In your definitions, and most of you put in definition in the chat box, you mentioned the dimension of data quality, because in practical, you're gonna have an assignment that have data quality dimension issues, and yeah, we're in training now, so yeah. So it has the different dimensions, and the dimension, well, like as if it mentioned, and even other people have mentioned on the chat box, is about accuracy. When you talk about accuracy, we're talking about data correctly represent the real world values it is intended to model. So the reward value, the value of it, that the data intended to really model. Okay. An example of such is a customer date of birth that is recorded correctly in a system. So very, very important. And as we begin to ride on with what we are here for, you discover that every aspect of this data will be mentioned. Okay. Okay. Now, you confirm you can see what I'm sharing. Is that correct? So, in today's data-driven world, the integrity of your data is paramount. Very paramount, very important. So, it is the foundation upon which every enterprise builds their decision-making process, business strategies, and of course, most especially, the success that is expected of every enterprise. Okay, accurate, complete, I'm not. Yeah, okay, something prompted up that I should record in cloud, but I'm not going to do that. I'm already in. So, data being accurate or being complete or consistent and reliable in their livelihood is actually the main concern of every organization. So ensuring that your data meets these criteria is not just a mere technical challenge, but it is imperative to have that for strategic planning. Very, very important. Can somebody tell me the meaning of strategy? Can anyone tell me the meaning of strategy?
A model or a plan?
Long-term plan.
Long-term plan, sorry.
Yeah, please, I want everyone to write it down. Write it down. Long-term plan. If you are in this training, please, strategy means long-term plan. And if we have a plan that is long, that means we have a plan that is short. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what is short-term plan then?
Tactical.
Tactical. So these two words are very important. They have military origin. So when they're going to war in those days, they have strategic plan, and if it doesn't go the way it is planned, it results to short-term plan. Okay, tactical plan and short-term plan. Where is that noise coming from? So very important. We have short-term plan, we have long-term plan. So most of them are military words. In fact, those two words are used in operation from A to B. Okay. So in any operation, there's always a plan. Okay. So that is what is expected. So if it is strategic plan that you want to carry out, it is very, very indispensable that your data must have a very high quality, and the high quality, as high as it is, it will result to integrity. So if your data hasn't got integrity, they will not be trusted, and they will not be credible to be used as a domain to which a decision can be made by either business analyst or any kind of stakeholder, most especially chief executive officers, when it is being visualized, have a domain to which it is such decision. So very, very important that every aspect of data governance, data analysis, they get towards data quality. So everything you do in data governance to ensure that data has integrity. Otherwise, the value that to be created in the endpoint of your plan will not meet the marginal expectation that the enterprise may require. Very important. So please take this training as this aspect of the training is something that you must not miss. Okay, this aspect of it is going to be practically done, and also when we're going to be talking about analytics of each of these data quality, please don't joke with it at all. So it's very important. And even in your Power BI, we need to practically see this happening. So if you miss this class, you miss something else. And I'm not going to take it just one day. So a lot will be talked about based on this. You could have policy, you can have every other thing, procedure put together in your program, but if the standards for data quality is not ensured, it is useless, because you need standards to know whether you're going to have your best practice, and also you're going to have ethics, or at the same time have criteria to which you're going to use in your KPI to measure whether your program meets expectation. So very, very important. So please take note. Don't joke with this aspect of the training. Is that okay, everyone? Okay. That being said, understanding data quality is very important. Okay. Let's talk about the areas when we talk about mention data, like the dimension. Okay. It is important that we know the dimension properly, so that you know the degree in which data quality can be ensured. First of all, accuracy. Okay, accuracy. Accurate data it simply means free from where? Accurate data means what? Free from where? From error.
Error.
Free from error, omissions, discrepancies. When data is accurate, that means free from error, omission, discrepancy. Can someone give me an example of such? These are quality. These are dimensions of data quality. Can someone give me an example of such?
Are you asking for types of data accuracy?
Yeah, where I'm talking about example of data accuracy.
Policy numbers.
Policy what? Number.
Policy numbers, yeah.
Like what? How?
They have different series of numbers which identify either a customer or a service rendered to a particular customer.
That's correct. To another person?
Say data accuracy in the area of e-commerce, say
Yeah.
taking a customer's data like date of birth, address, and location, and all those stuff about the customer. Those are very essential part of having an accurate data concerning that person.
Good. Good. Absolutely. Yeah. I need more examples, because this is very important. This is more practical oriented than just, even in this training, we are more practical oriented than any other person. Okay. We are more practical oriented than any other, so we convert our theoretical analysis to practical action. Very important. Someone else can give me an example. Thank you for the example, James. Yeah, I'm waiting for everyone. Yeah. I want everyone to give me more examples. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question? I missed the question.
The question is examples of data quality in terms of dimension, accuracy dimension. Okay. What are more examples? Yeah.
In terms of accuracy.
Yeah.
It could be, I don't know if they say customer information or customer records,
Okay.
or even finances when it comes to finance transactions, if they are correct or not. Because
Okay.
if you get, say, for example, you go to the bank or you look at your bank statements and you find that there's an anomaly, say, for example, there's a transaction that was not made by you, but it's coming up on your statements, that is inaccuracy on the part of the bank. So they need to find out why that error has been made, because it could affect your credit rating. So that's an example of inaccuracy. So data must always be correct for it to pass that data quality check. If not, it could lead to error. It could lead to a backlash against you.
Yeah. Yeah. Another person? Another person?
This is a common one, our dates of birth, especially in developed countries where they have accurate data bank information about people. Because if the date of birth or the gender is wrong in any way, there's always issues. I think the last time Barrister Emmanuel was on this course, he was talking about an error where they put him down as female instead of male. So take, for example, if they're doing the census of a country, automatically he'll be recorded as female. So it'll be one female more and one male less. That's an example of an inaccurate data.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for.
Our electoral register in my country.
Which country is that?
Nigeria.
Okay. What happened there?
Our data is questionable a lot of times.
Is that too, James?
Allegedly. Sorry, allegedly.
Let the matter be fake. Prove it. Or you can take it to court.
That's why I said allegedly. Oh.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Another example is a customer date of birth, as you said, which is very, very important, date of birth. What do you mean by date of birth? When you talk about date of birth, if it's not correct, it's not correct. Is that correct? Good.
Yes, date of birth is very important in this country. I'll give an example. When my when my father first came to when he first came to the UK, I'm talking about in the late 40s, when he first came to the UK, he did not give his proper date of birth, his accurate date of birth. So when it was time, when his mates were busy collecting their pension, because he had given an inaccurate date of birth, he couldn't collect his own pension, because obviously he wasn't pensionable at the age he gave. So that kind of made his pension be deferred. So that date of birth is very, very important. And then there's been people who have gone for operations in this country because they have given the wrong date of birth. Say, for example, you've come into the country saying you're 30 or 35, when in actual fact you're 40 or 45. You go for an operation. Of course, what they will do, even if they do all the checks, they will still treat you as a person of 30 or 35. And then when you start having issues, they'll be wondering that you told us that you're a young person. So why are you having these issues which an older person would have? So it's very important that the accurate date of birth is given at every point in time. And we've also had the footballers allegedly from my country who have given the wrong date of birth. And then when they are playing, something or the other happens, and then it comes up to say they've given the age of 15 years younger than they actually are, allegedly.
Is that true? Is that true? Is that true, Paul?
It is.
Okay. That your country has something that has a lot to do.
It's our country.
Okay. Ramsey said all relevant information without any gap. That's good. I like interaction like this. Okay. Yeah. For example, in a sales database, an accurate entry would include the correct product. So they don't give you wrong product. Good, correct price and the quantity information. Okay. Also database. Let's move on. What about completeness? What does it really mean? Data. Complete data includes all relevant information without any gaps. All relevant information without any gaps. Can somebody give me an example of it? Example of it.
Doctor, you said data completeness, right?
Yes, please.
An example of it.
Mhm.
I'll say weather forecast.
Weather forecast.
Yep.
Okay. How does that mean? What do you mean by weather
Okay.
forecast?
Weather forecast in the sense of where data go through different what's the word? Architecture.
Mhm.
They're all combined to form a result, and that gives you complete data in terms of interpreting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an example.
Yeah, that one is good because if it's not complete, the interpretation will be wrong.
No, yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you. If your hands up.
Yes, an example will be, for example, shipping address. You order something online, you put the incomplete information there, or whoever is at the other end has taken the incomplete information. There are many. In Brazil, you have a place called Lagos. In Nigeria, you have a place called Lagos. Imagine not putting the complete address on there, and you order something from a place like China. Someone there might automatically see Lagos, might think it's going to Brazil. So that's shipping. We get shipped out to Brazil instead of Lagos, Nigeria. So you have countries in the world like that where they bear the same name. So it's very important that that data needs to be accurate, especially when there's no street address, or sometimes the street address might just give away the shipping address or the history. But in a place where it's not correct, then it becomes a problem. Even patients' records. When you go to the hospital, one of the questions they always ask before, especially if you're going for something like an operation, is, are you allergic to anything? If you put yes or no on your history file, it's probable when they take you into the hospital, if you are unconscious or something, they will just go through that history and say, okay, no allergies whatsoever. And then they're giving you some sort of intravenous liquid that you're allergic to because they haven't seen that on your history reports. And then they give you the wrong thing. Then even sad to say, in cases like marriage, where you have someone who is a sickler and the other person who is a carrier, and they haven't been upfront to say that one is a carrier or the other one is a sickler, and then they get married and then they're producing children who are sicklers. The next thing is divorce because one person has not been upfront about their history or their test. So data completeness is very important in lab test results, in financial transaction. You give the wrong information, you get a backlash from the financial houses. So data completeness is always very important for decision making and to reduce errors, which
Good.
might lead to financial implications. And in the case of divorce, there's been a lot of issues where the man or the woman have not been upfront about their finances or their financial situation. And then they've gone to court, and there's been a long, long drag through the years because one person has not been upfront. So the other person is trying to claim from them.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up with a lot of examples. Thank you, Louis, as well. I know you're very busy. You're at work relating to data all the time. You're at work and you still tune in, which is very, very good as well. Okay. Your hand is still up. Is it legacy hand or what?
Sorry, I'll put it down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I like hearing people to give more examples of what we're doing. Completeness. Complete data includes all relevant information. So all relevant information, without any gaps. For example, a customer record. So if you are pointed to put your record when you're trying to order, and they may say, you know what, put the detail, your purchase history, related interactions. Those things must be complete. Your name, your address, your dates. Okay, that is about all information that is required must be put. And that will talk about completeness. Even when you complete it, it does not mean that it is accurate. So you also need to make sure the information you are completing must be accurate as well. Okay, so you see, the intertwine and interwoven, we cannot talk about one without making reference to the order. Okay, thank you so much. Now let's move to one of the key dimensions of data quality is consistency. It simply refers to uniform set of rules, standards, and formats. Okay, and can anyone tell me any example of how data could be referred as consistent data? Just example. I think it's a time for everyone to really, speak right now, because these dimensions are things you're going to be meeting daily in your quest to make sure you achieve your purpose of data governance program. What do you mean by data being consistent? What do you mean by data being consistent? Give me an example. Consistent.
Data being consistent means that the information is always uniform. It always follows the same standard, nothing changes about it. A typical example is the date of birth, for example, or even dates. In this country, when we are writing our dates, we put, say, for example, today is the 30th of May. We always put it as 30/05 2025. But in America, the way they write it is 2025. Then they put in the month, which is 05, and then the date is the last thing, which will be 30. So that is the difference between the format here and the format in America. Same thing too if you're doing measures in the hospitals here. I'm always using hospitals or the NHS because that's a common sector in this country. Their standard of measurements, when you say you want to take your height, they always measure in a meterage. But I'm more used back home in Nigeria, where I am, to being measured in feet and inches. So if you ask me how tall I am, I will always give it to you in feet and inches, because that's how most of the time they go to the hospital. That's what they always ask about. But here we use the meters, so they will tell you you're 1-point-something meters tall. And then even the currency, you can't say you're using Naira and then put a pound sign in front of it. And if you go around, You can't start paying for things in pounds when the standard currency there is Naira or CDs or whatever. So it has to be consistent all the time. So their symbol needs to be consistent. The symbol in the UK needs to be consistent. Pound sign is consistent. The only thing that is not consistent, which we can't call consistent, is the exchange rate. It's always fluctuating. So that's not a consistent data.
Well, if it has to be, if it is fluctuating and maintained over the period of time within the space that it will not fluctuate, is consistent as well. Because those are real-time, data, real-time analysis. For example, data just shows up today, and that particular time, that data is there for that period of time. It's also consistent. The only variation that will take place is because of how factors affect the real-time in visualization of data. So, but I think because the way you talk about consistency, as you mentioned, it's uniform. Uniform cannot be uniform if it's not standardized. So, like as you mentioned, of date of birth, standardized. So the one in America here, because if this is how it's going to be done, it has to be done that way. And that is going to be consistent all the time. If there is no consistency, for example, now, okay, let me ask more technical question on this in terms of interview. If you are in charge as a data governance manager, what will you do to ensure consistency in data to take place, for example? Even at the point of entry. Everyone.
I suppose one of the ways in which you can ensure that data is consistent is by making sure the stewards are up to grip with what is going on in the organization. And that could be making sure they attend the proper workshops and training as how they need to enter things into the system. There's also using here they also use like formulas to make sure that data is consistent. So if you put in something that does not agree with that particular formula, it flags it up immediately as a red.
Okay, Louis, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, data analysis should be carried out at all times.
Yeah, if you carry out the analysis and you have already, your initiative has been finalized, what can you do to ensure that consistency is maintained?
What was it? Metrics should be set up.
When you set up the metrics, what will you do?
Yeah, metrics will be set up in order for everyone to indicate the if it's a brown field, to indicate where where the company is or organization is, and the long-term plan to move them to that target.
No, that's assessment you're talking about right now. Now you have mentioned metrics set up, and in terms of consistency, when there's format, you carry out the analysis as you mentioned. How will you be able to make sure it's sustained? Consistency is sustained.
Okay, through the metadata methods of achieving such.
Yeah, but we're talking about sustainability of the consistency in the database set you have. How will you be able to do that? Okay, maybe
through the long short-term plan.
Yeah, but when you plan, you put it already in your plan, but you have done your analytics, and also in your analysis, you did a lot of cleansing, ETL or ELT.
ELT, yeah.
Then if you've done that, how will you be able to sustain your consistency? In fact, not only consistency, but will you be able to sustain all key
ensure there's constant awareness.
Yeah, which if we mentioned that already.
Training.
So if we mentioned that already, so I'm talking about sustainability. If your hand is up, you want
Can
to.
I come in?
Yeah,
Okay,
come
you
in.
can implement checks to make
Yeah,
sure that the data is
how
up
will
to
you,
standard.
if you do the checks, how will
Mhm.
you be able to sustain that? Because they're all the quality dimension of data quality.
Um,
Use a proper formats. Well, you could have something on the system, like what I said before, where if it's not properly put in the system, it will automatically flag it up.
What is that? Automated.
Okay.
We call
Okay,
it
automated. Okay.
yeah, we call it validity and automation. So when you have a system where automated that alerts will flag when something is wrong at the point of entry. You have done your data quality, data analysis, you've done your analytics, everything set up, your data is high integrity, and you want to sustain the same over a period of time in your program, you'll do what is called validity and also automation. So when you put automation, just like you know what I'm talking about, when you are filling a form and immediately you type the thing wrong, in the format wrong, we say it's not that format. That is a lot. So
Pastor, but the automation is through softwares that we can achieve that.
yeah, but you can do it in your database. Even any software, any database you use, you can just do it. You can start there because most of all the database and also the software you use, they have
Yeah.
automation.
Okay.
So yeah, they have
So
automation.
whereby the automation or whatever software is not giving the required results,
You make
then
sure
we have to recommend something that is better off.
that is user
All right.
friendly within the enterprise, and it has to be agreed.
All right then.
Yeah. So, but make sure everyone know this. So no matter how you try to put the things in place, at the end, how can you sustain it over a period of time matters. Okay. Blessing, what are you intending to do? Blessing, I'm seeing you what you're doing. So just don't worry. Blessing, Elijah. Don't worry, if you need these things, you're always gonna get them, okay? Can you hear me?
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
No
Mistake.
problem. Don't worry, I don't forget I'm an engineer and I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so
I don't know.
so now it's very important we get this. No, always remember, just create atmosphere to automate so that anything that goes on, there will be alert. There'll be alert that is that everyone has to be informed of what is going on so that you can mitigate against it immediately at the point of entry. Okay, that's good. Good to know. So we also have example like customer's name appears in the same way in both billing and shipping system as if we also talk about the other time. So that's very, very good. Good to know that. Let's talk about reliability. Reliability. Reliable data can be trusted to make informed decisions. Can we have an example of data being reliable?
The source?
Source, that's very, very good. I love that. Source, that's very good. I love that. Can we rely on data? Can the data stand test of time? For example, during COVID-19, we have data. We had data before that. But after COVID-19, those data, are they still reliable? Some of the data are not reliable.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why we do data cleansing.
Yeah, you can do data
What's
cleansing.
it called? No, what's this word for it? Oh, geez. Retention.
Sorry, talking about retention? No.
Yeah, you said some of them were not, not all of the data are still valid from COVID-19 till now. And this is where data retention comes in.
So if no, the retention is quite different from that. You can retain data by whatever you love that is valued, you can retain it. So no problem. But if data that are not valid, what would you do?
You get rid of it.
Okay, get rid of it. That is so very harsh, you know. You have to get rid of those data. So if you're not sure that they're not reliable because you're not sure that they're not reliable, what would you do?
You cleanse it.
Even if you cleanse it, you also you cleansing it, also you try to, but would it not be nice? Because I can't say yes or no what you say right now, because like even Louis, I can't just say yes or no because it depends on what you intend to do anyway. But would it not be nice to carry out collection of new data, current data?
Archiving is very important.
Yeah,
To
you can
archive.
archive it. You can archive it, but then why do we need to archive those data? It's because you need to have comparisons in it.
Okay, yeah, if the data is not reliable.
Pastor, speaking about data archiving, like what we practice on Power BI on the sample data that was put on there, in order for us to get accurate reading, we had to go through Wikipedia to bring in data from different countries and then
Yeah,
implied it on the Power BI in order to make sense of the data
yeah,
to form a completeness. Is that part of
thank you.
architecture, if I may ask?
Well, architecture is already there, but what you're trying to do is to have more usefulness of those
Yeah,
data.
exactly.
Okay,
And that
and you
forms
try
it.
to
Does that make it
unify.
more complete as it is?
We're talking about reliability, not complete. We're talking about data that are not reliable. You have to prove that those data are not reliable. You can archive, but then why do you need to archive? You also need to, manipulate those data to see their undue influence. By what? By comparing them with the new data you collect to
Yeah.
see whether the unreliable data still remain unreliable. Then you use the new data and keep
Yes.
it in database. That
Thank
we
you.
should archive. Yeah, that is very, very important. If you just easily now throw them away, you'll be just biased, okay? Because the data may have bias anyway. So what you just need to do is to make sure.
Sorry, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, Barrister.
Sorry, let's not forget that in terms of archiving, there are some rules, that organization have to adhere to, especially the GDPR states that you have to keep some of these documents for some time because somebody might request for those documents. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, sorry, I don't have those documents again, especially when it's within the period that the person is requesting the documents. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right, because that's one of the policy we need to put together in terms of archiving or in terms of data, because you can't just throw away data that because they are not reliable. You archive them for a reason. And even one of the most important reasons, thank you, Barrister, for putting that in. One of the most important reason is to not have a history of such, like a healthcare or in the health sector. You can archive data that you think are no more reliable for a reason that it might be referred to, legally for go way, way back. It may have changed, but also we need to look at them, and there's a time frame. So it depends on the sector you're working. So, and we do that in order to avoid bias, or, we want to have a accurate timing and, when data were reliable or not as at that time. So it's very important. Please, it's about trust. It's about trust, when you are when you need to make some very important decision. Take care of this, because I have told you that this aspect of the curriculum is very, very sensitive. You need to follow regulations. You need to follow the law in order to avoid risk and non-compliance issue when it comes to data quality, avoiding bias. Barrister, your hand is still up.
Yes, thank you. I think I've given examples in the past where I requested for tips. You know, when they tell you that this call is being recorded, obviously it's being recorded. And they said that, insurance, in fact, I think Louis will tell us more, Louis in the insurance world, when they said that the conversation I had with the person I spoke with was I asked them to cancel the policy. And that wasn't the case. I told them to cancel the Mercedes and leave the Tesla car. And they went to cancel the entire policy. And thereafter, they said that, they said for them to reinstate the Tesla, I have to pay £10,000 for something I was paying about £2,000 before. I said, no, this is not it. I can remember vividly the conversation I had with them. And at the end of the day, they said the manager had listened to it, that what I told them was to cancel it. I said, no, I gave them the Mercedes registration number and not the policy, because I didn't have the policy number to hand. And lo and behold, they had to reinstate. In fact, I now said I wanted this matter to be logged with the complaints department. The lady that called said, well, first of all, said she was very sorry and that she's actually listened to it, that I was really correct, and that the manager was wrong and the person I spoke with was wrong. So they had to compensate me and they had to reinstate it to how much I was paying previously. So it's very important. So you can imagine if you're requesting for that tips and he told you that, oh, sorry, it's no longer with us. We don't have it anymore. You know, obviously that's going to lead to a litigation.
Absolutely.
That's one of the importance of, yes, thank you.
Yeah, very important. Thank you so much. Anyway, in practice, everything you see here is going to come out soon. It could be your initiative that are going to come out. And when we get there, you're going to know more about this, how to understand, data quality, because you need to understand the key dimensions of data quality. Let's move on. The strategy for data quality. Strategy for data quality. First of all, you have data profiling and assessment. And you could see where Ife and Lewis was referring to the other time. This begins with a thorough, examination of your data. Holistically, you need to assess when you have an access to the database of any enterprise. So you need to examine and need to profile the data, the entire profile, because they will, any company when it's going to interview you, so okay, if you are employed, how will you start? Don't forget they are trying to ask you technical questions, tactically, and require an answer as well. So they are asking that question in order for you to tell them your roadmap, which of 30, 60, 90 days, a roadmap, which of course I'm going to train everyone how to do that. So they first of all gain access and also have assessment of the database they have. And when you do that, you now have to start the software to help identify the errors that are inconsistency, that bring inconsistency as well, and areas where you see the key dimensions that are not met. Okay, for example, if you run a healthcare system and you might have to use data profiling to ensure patient records are in line with the key dimension of data quality, which of course talk about completeness, accuracy, consistency, timeliness, uniqueness, reliability, and all those ones are part of the profiling that you need to do. Okay, can anyone tell me any sector that we can also look into in terms of thorough examination of data set of that enterprise? Can anyone? I'm going to mention
In the construction industry, that's
in the
very
construction,
essential.
very, very essential. Very, very essential. Yeah. The consistency. Okay. That's very essential. Okay. All right. And what about financial setup?
Very, very essential.
What about the legal side of it?
That's even more essential.
This is more essential. We have legal people here. Okay. Very essential. All right. So strategy means the long-term plan of the quality. You have to do data profiling. Very, very essential. Please take note. And the next time we meet him, most likely we're going to do the practical aspect of it. I'll teach you the practical. Also, you will learn. I will send something across to you so that you learn how to carry out initiative of data quality. Because some of the questions that may come for your interview is going to be, okay, if we employ you, tell me, could you please tell me any initiative you have carried out before? Most cases, people talk about data quality initiative. That is so important before any employer, because it's what they want is to create value. And if your data hasn't got integrity, the value is not going to be there. So if you have carried out any initiative before, please, I think your mind should go towards a data quality a lot. Okay, could be any platform, could be CRM platform, any other setup as well. So make sure customer relation or management platform, it will be a very good example to using your data quality, initiative. Okay. We'll also talk about data standardization. So this actually is just what it refers to is to have to create or implement. In other words, you can also develop clear data standards and rules. To ensure that it follows a predefined structure put in place, especially when you're doing architectural data architecture. So standardization is very important. An example is to ensure that all addresses in your customer database follow a specific format, which Efe mentioned the other time. Okay. If you are writing address, we need to number roads, don't go and write road and number, or maybe the names you want to put. How are you gonna put the surname before first name or first name before surname? Those standard must be followed. Okay, so and you can also set different kind of standard format. If your things are not standardized, then practice may be wrong. Okay. Can somebody also tell me any specific format that data can be, standardized? If first of all, if you're saving a video data, what format will you save it? Wait.
MP4.
MP4. Is any other one? If it is video, if it is audio, what format will you save it?
MP3.
MP3. Is any other document that you have to save in another format?
Oh yes, PDF.
PDF, okay.
JPEG.
JPEG, okay.
Um,
Who else again?
we
Who else again
also
with
have
me? Who else again?
MKV.
MPV, yeah, that's good. Blessing, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, what's other format that any data can be saved? You can phone a friend. Or 50-50.
Hey, Pastor, think this is a live show, so you can phone a friend.
Okay. So do you know
Excel, Word.
what Excel? Yeah, that's good.
Word documents.
Word documents, yeah,
You also have PNG.
that's correct. So we're talking about quality now. So, you know, talking about quality now, if, for example, you're doing Power BI and any information in the database is supposed to be this, and then another one come in a different format when not that is not supposed to be that. So it's a very big problem in terms of standardization. So quality is very important. You need to make sure there is standardization, predetermined structure put in place in order to make sure things are well addressed properly. Okay, we also talk about one of the strategy is data validation. Okay, I asked this question ahead of time because of a reason. So this is about rules to ensure data accuracy. So because you want data to be accurate, you need to also validate whether it's accurate. This includes checking the data types, the ranges and formats. For example, when customer input their credit card numbers on your e-commerce website, use a validation algorithm to confirm the accuracy. Sometimes when you put your 16 digits, automatically say, oh, it's not correct. You check the number.
Email addresses.
Email address, that's correct.
If you don't put at in an email address, it will come up as invalid.
Invalid. So why? Because they have already kind of have a check on validations. Okay, think about every other things in terms of data validation. Okay, so D is about data cleansing. Okay, periodically clean. That is what Louis was making mention about. You can always periodically clean your data by removing duplicates. Okay, correcting inaccuracies. Those are strategies, part of the strategy used in ensuring that your data dimensions are met properly in order to ensure high data quality and integrity. So, what do you do? Filling in missing information. For example, if you maintain a product inventory, data cleansing ensures you remove duplicate entries and update product description. So have you seen entry that are duplicated before?
Yes, loads of times.
Good. So what do? You cleanse those, them so that you don't have duplication to affect visualization. And you'll be very surprised that there are key areas only one to be appearing twice, and you're going to ask yourself why. It's still going to not just only those that are appearing twice, you also with respect to the time it twice. So it's going to be duplication. So first of all, we need to make sure we correct those duplicates, and also if there is a inaccuracy, also we fix it, put right information. So we also talk about data governance. This is one of the biggest things in data here. If your hand is up.
That data cleansing is very necessary, especially when it comes to financial implications, because
Absolutely.
say, for example, someone has taken out a credit card in a particular address and you move into that address. And probably it's a probability that you could have the same surname or the same name. The bank will automatically assume that you are the person. And so they will you'll be held accountable for that particular credit card, especially when it's not correct on the system. So that's why that data cleansing is very necessary. So if you're moving out from an area, you need to inform different organizations, council, tax, and all that. Sorry, the council. You need to inform various sectors, banking, and the rest that I have moved out of that area. So if you're sending anything, don't send it to me there. because anyone can pick up that info and decide to use it.
Absolutely, that's correct. I mean, you're just spot on that. So it's very important that the cleansing is done. And especially like Louis, who is working in the sector where data are really, really big as well across Europe and America,
Yes.
not only England, data is so important. Okay, so
Yes.
you are responsible for that.
Oh, yes. There's even organizations whom they still pay out salaries, or they still pay wages to people who have left the company because that data has not been cleansed up from the system.
In which countries are? Is it United States of Africa or where?
Allegedly.
I'm going to confirm from James.
Allegedly, in my country, they have names.
On this, I will agree with Madam Ife.
That,
And I will go further to say the pension sector. That is a big issue there.
pension, eh?
Allegedly.
I'm not alleging, I'm saying it authoritatively. You can quote me anywhere.
I want to tell you something about one of us here really helped a lot of boroughs in United Kingdom. Barrister was able to detect something very big, and it had cost the whole borough a lot of money, big money, and got the data fixed, and basically someone who was still claiming money for his mother, and the mother died a long time ago. And anytime people come, they say, don't worry, we'll take care of the mother. They will keep on claiming that the mother died a long time ago. So Barrister actually went in and, I want to see your mom physically. He tried to avoid. So he went in by himself. And the wife of the man said, don't tell my husband I told you this woman died a long time ago. So he faced it and secured money for the borough, and also other boroughs took his recommendation and saved other boroughs of the same thing. If your hand is up.
Yes, even in the United Kingdom, allegedly, there are lots of people who are collecting benefits who are not meant to be collecting the benefits because the system has not been properly cleansed, and they too have not said anything. So they collect these benefits based on previous history, and they just continue until they get found out. So that is fraud.
Yeah, you see, the system itself kind of also need to put things together to make sure things are done properly as well. We are the data governance experts. When we are employed, make sure we do things to ensure that things are done right within the organization. Your impact must be felt. Okay, very, very important. Okay, thank you so much. Those examples. The more you do cleansing, the more you get rid of some data that has no prospect for survival. Okay. So we have data governance. What I want to. This is about to establish data governance framework to monitor and enforce, data quality policies. The other time I mentioned something relating to the other time I mentioned something with respect to monitoring and also validation and automation. Automation is part of monitoring as well, because if anything is wrong, it will be alerted to by the software that this need to be done and need to be fixed. And that is data governance, and it has to be done in line with the policy setup to make sure every aspect of data quality are accomplished to avoid risk and non-compliance issue. Data governance is very important. Policy, that's where you are not even let me use the word create policy and also develop existing one in order to meet the complexity of data you're handling at a time. So why do we need that? That's why my definition of data governance talking about integrity. So it's just to ensure integrity, the value you want to create. Let that always be, because data is a valuable corporate asset, and that must be treated fairly and strongly, so that anytime you're taking an informed decision, it will be in line with what you want to achieve or the company's expectation. You tie that in to the company corporate goals right from the day one. It's a business side of it. It's not IT. Always remember that. Okay, so this involves assigning responsibilities to stewards, like if I said the other time, and those stewards will enforce whatever that have been put in place instead of policy, procedures, and standards, implementing the same process and maintaining accountability for that data quality. Data governance is a key for everything you do in data quality initiative. So anything you do, the stage is set by data governance, because you must govern the data and manage the same in terms of quality. So, and also, well, we look at another strategy, which is the F1 data quality metrics. In fact, Lewis was mentioning that the other time. I want us to look at it as very imperative aspect of our quest to make sure we have data quality. Okay, the metrics have to be set. Those are indicators you use in measuring over time whether the quality of our data meet this expectation. So these metrics include error rates. You need to make error rate. You have to rate it whether it is high, critical, then or medium or low. So if it is critical, what do you do? Hello. If error is very critical, what do you do?
You have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, so if you're drawing board, can you differentiate?
Also,
Yeah.
if it's critical, it has to be addressed immediately.
That is
to
what I want.
minimize
That's the language.
costs.
That is the language I want.
Such errors can be cost effective for the company. It has to be addressed immediately.
Thank you so much. I just purposely just ship that one email. I need the practical aspect of it. You have automated your system, and you have put your system in place, and then error flashing, bam, critical in terms of error rate, the rating, high or medium or low. So that we determine the threshold of your action that you're going to carry out. Because then, why do we need to say critical is need action right now? It can cause big thing, it can even result to other things. So that is very important. It is metrics that you put together that can help that. Okay, the data completeness percentages, metrics, you set up, we determine that the number of data-related incidents that has taken place over the time. Those are metrics you use in measuring. So when you're speaking as a manager, you know that after your initiative carried out, you were able to determine errors was reduced to the PRS minimum. We achieved 98% error-free. Our error have been reduced from 98 to 30% or 20%. And the completeness percentage lagging has been reduced to so. Because when you carry your initiative, you must say what initiative you carry out, how did you do it, then with who, what was the result, and invariably they reward you by bonus or whatever, or promotion. You bring all those things in. So it's very important. How do you measure that? So technically, when they're going to ask you a question in an interview, you should be able to know how you're able to carry out your KPI. Okay, very important. Okay, thank you so much. And then also we have data quality tools. So these tools and softwares you use, such as Master Data Management, MDM solutions. Okay, data, it gives you data quality platforms. The platform where you can easily look at your quality of data, whether it's good or not, or it lacks some key quality dimensions are having issues. Okay, because the tools will flash them out. And then we'll also look at the data governance software they use in taking care of what is deemed fit to be looked at. And these tools can also automated. It can be automated in terms of ensuring data quality checks, providing real-time alerts at any time. Real-time alerts. So when I mean real-time alerts, okay, very important. So that that was the question I asked the other time. Okay, good. That's clear. We also have real-world examples, referring to real-world examples. Real-world example, it will be, banking industry. Okay, in the financial sector, maintaining accurate and reliable data, customer data is actually very, very crucial for compliance, fraud, detections, and personalized services. Okay, data quality initiatives help to do or ensure data customer records, transactions, history, and also account information are consistently accurate and up to date in banking sector. Healthcare, you mentioned of healthcare the other time in terms of, rely on precise patients' records and also provide effective care for because there is a precise records of the patient as well. Okay. And ensuring data accuracy such as patient demographics, and then which is probably age or social class as well, our mental history is coming in. So this helps in making a sound, informed decisions and reduce the risk of medical errors that will take place that are associated. Okay, if errors are nowhere put in place. We're talking about retail, retail company depends on, quality of the data, especially inventory, okay, and optimize supply chain, and enhance customer experience. So that helps to have accurate product information, pricing and inventory levels are very, very vital for, seamless shopping experience. Okay, so can someone also give me another, if I say BROB, yeah, you want to say something about that? Okay.
No, I was just saying be right back.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I attended musical school with it. So any other example? Any sector example? Okay. All right. So, I want us to understand that one of the things that we must put into consideration is about data quality. Why do we need data quality? When you're going to carry out your initiative or you try to convince the stakeholders of a company that why do we need data quality? Why data quality matters. You can easily say for better decision what? Making. Okay, reliable data supports sound business policy, of course, even research decisions. Okay, So it's very important when data are reliable, it support policies, sound business policies, indeed, research decision as well. So another thing we must put together to make sure why data quality matter is compliance and risk management. Please always take note of that. Compliance and risk management. So why do we need that quality for compliance and risk management? Is to ensure alignment with regulatory requirements like GDPR. Have you heard of the word GDPR before? Have we heard of the word GDPR before? Hello, everyone. Have we heard the word GDPR before?
General data protection requirements.
Okay. Those who are from Nigeria, in case you're going to be working from Nigeria in Europe, we have what is called GDPR. Okay. That is regulatory system. A requirement that is in Europe. Even when UK is no longer with Europe, they still maintain the same, not much difference. Okay, in America, we have HIPAA. What does that really imply? What the GDPR imply? Okay, like as if it said, the General Data Protection Regulations. The jurisdiction is, as I said, is Europe, European Union, but it affects any organization that handles data of EU residents. And so if you handle the data, you're working from Nigeria or anywhere in the world, there are data concerning EU residents, you must handle them very well with respect to that regulation. That's why, do you know, is it Facebook or Bookface? Hello?
Facebook.
Is it Facebook, Paul? Blessing, is it Facebook or
It's
Bookface?
Facebook. Oh,
Facebook. Okay. So they were fined 2.8 billion last year for transferring data from EU, Europe to America. And they were fined and they have to pay. Do you know $2.8 billion? You know what someone can use that for? Do you know what someone can use that for?
you can buy a state in Nigeria.
You can buy what?
You buy a state in Nigeria.
A state. So you can buy a state in Nigeria. It's very important, okay? So, and it became effective in May 25th of 2018. So you need to know that very well in terms of data. And also the purpose of it is GDPR is designed to protect the privacy and data protection of individuals in the EU. The difference between privacy and security, both of them come together to have data protection. So privacy is about regulations and laws. Security is about unauthorized access. Know the differences, okay? So it gives individual control over their personal information. If you must collect any information from anybody, any person at all, there's a control, individual control to that. So you must be able to tell the person why you collecting it, what you want to use it for, the purpose, and how long will it use it for? Will it be transferred to third party or not? You have the control over that to tell them, no, don't transfer my, information or data to another person. But you may be surprised that a company that haven't got your data by your consent is calling you. You may not know whether you have already signed a document with another company saying we have third party that we may transfer information. Because you don't read a contract documents, you just sign accept, because it could be long contract, and the tiny words that you do not have your glasses to read, don't have time to do, you just press accept, and you don't know what you have done. So very important, try to read contract very well, okay? So, and also imposes strict obligation on any company that collects, store, and process such data without the express consent of the individual who has the control over his own data. Very, very important. Okay, that's the purpose of GDPR. And the key principles that follow GDPR is about the lawfulness and fairness and transparency that will need to take place. Data must be processed legally and clearly. And those are the hard principles. When you have time, go through such. Okay. And another one, I made mention of HIPAA. It's about health insurance portability and the accountability act of, especially in California anyway, because, health insurance in America is very, very important. So you must know this regulatory that goes on within, in terms of risk and compliance issue in data. Okay, so jurisdiction of such of HIPAA is in America. It came into effect in 1996, with update including the HIPAA private rules in 2003, and the security rules of rule in 2005. So these are updates that comes in, but you must understand those two regulatory laws when you are operating from anywhere in the world, because a company do not take it lightly when in terms of privacy and as for, of course, security as well. So, it's very important. The penalty could range from £100 to 50 per valuation, or up to 1.5 million annually per type of valuation. And in most cases, when you have a very high level transfer, is billions, like that of Facebook. So we must be very careful when we handle, people's data. Okay, is that clear, everyone?
Yes.
Good, good. Yeah, in effect, I just want you to know sometimes there are challenges that occur. Before I close, challenges that occur, and invariably also the preferred solution to that in data quality initiative. One of the challenges is duplicate records. Please always take care of that. Duplicate records, and you use data do duplication. Do duplication too. So and set unique identifiers, especially, for example, have an employee ID. So there's do duplication. If your software wall is going to identify, oh no, this is a duplicate. So you get it. And then you can sort that one out. And the ecosystems format across system, you can implement metadata, standards and centralized, data governance policy. Of course, I know if you like doing that a lot, you see, have you carried that? You usually carry that, initiative, preparing all the database, putting together, have a proper repository, or Calibra is very good on that, and informatical system is very good at that to avoid inconsistency. Okay, I know what you like doing that. Don't just meet Smith John, just meet or Smith John. So very important. Have a very, very master data standards, reference to the one. Okay, then we have a missing and incomplete field. To solution to such is just enforce mandatory fields. So when you say, well, someone must have to write name and address, make it mandatory by start, right? From they won't have a note say all mandatory must be filled. So what that means is having to miss a format or a complete field, just enforce mandatory fields by putting star during data entry. or then you now have to validate it in input points. That means right from detail 1, you validate if something is not valid, it's not valid right from detail 1 as your entry. So automatically can mitigate against missing an incomplete field when you, and this is very practical when you're going to be using your system. So validate, oh no, you must surname first, star. Okay, so when you put that is mandatory field must be filled or optional, so you don't need to, so very important. Okay, optional can be missed, or the mandatory, that is very important. Those are the data you want to collect right from the onset. Okay, and then updated data. In fact, that is one of the challenges. So what you do is to schedule regular data review, updates, and regular data review update, and regular data review update, and also automated clean up task. I'm going to ask this question next time. So if you have updated, data always coming up, you need to schedule regular. The other time, I sign off, January, I sign off policies that I wanted to change in a setting where I'm head of data. So, and a few weeks ago, I went to check, and I have to approve a software that would be used. Yeah. So, and right now I just put in the data again to transfer data to, so it would be sent to me automatically wherever I am. I can easily also validate it and also sign it off. That the new software I'm testing at the moment. So all is well. Anyway, any updated data must be reviewed, updated, and automated to have a cleanup task all the time. So we also have human error in data entry. So you use drop down. You can use drop down to impute pure data to avoid data error in entry. So impute mask and also provide staff training on accurate entry data. So there are many rewards. Your hands up.
Yeah, even with drop down, there could also be errors because the drop down, let's say for example, data is critical, moderate, or low, and then human error decides to put that as low, and then somewhere along the line, the final report says that data should have been flagged up as critical. That is already an error with human error, even though the system is automated.
Yeah.
So that could also, at the end of the day, impact financial decisions for that company.
Absolutely.
Or bring about risk mitigation, risk issues, if not properly mitigated, will cost the company a lot.
Yeah.
So that is human error, even though it's an automated system. Because with the drop down, you could be on the phone, you could be on your mobile phone, you're meant to have put that down as critical. You suddenly put it down as low on the drop-down menu. And then you imagine putting down 100 customer database as low, when they were all meant to be critical. Automatically, you've sunk that company in it.
Yeah, so if we were the one now, what would you do?
Of course, like what Mr. Ejike said, he said you have to start addressing it. But what if the report has gone up? Because that happens. That happened to me recently. Not to me. That happened to a number of us recently at work. Although they said it was down to us, but by the time the manager retraced everything, the program manager, they found that it wasn't down to our own error, but it was down to the error at source. Someone input a volume that was worth millions of pounds, and it wasn't picked up at our own end.
Okay.
So that's brought up on the system that millions was spent in reality. Sorry, millions was spent on paper, but in reality, millions was about £5 million worth of works that it was spent on paper, but in reality, that money never came out. So that was down to human error.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's
right hand, not talking to the left hand.
Okay. Now let's work on this. Okay. Now, if the key dimension, the key quality dimension of data quality raise an issue, the issue log shows that the rating will be critical. Okay. Yeah. Now, if we are going to automate, because you can talk about metrics the other time, we talk about standards the other time. If the standard of that dimension is critical, would it not be okay for someone to also automate the threshold of critical linked to the data dimension? So that if something is critical,
yes,
talking about automation now,
yes.
if something is critical and you are pressing high, would
pressing low?
You are pressing low.
Okay, let me use the insurance company now as an example, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what obtains, but for example, someone has put in a claim by the insurance company. A steward in that insurance company now and that's a claim, let's say it involves one of these choice, maybe one of these cars like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something, one of those top cars, or even a G-Wagon or one of those top cars. And then they've put it down that it's critical that this is looked into. If not, it's going to cost us so much in insurance. It's going to cost us six-figure sum in insurance if we don't have a look at it. And then a steward in that company, instead of flagging it up as critical on the drop-down menu, he flags it up as low. Of course, automatically it goes through the system. At the other end of the system, it could be flagged up as the right thing. But just because that human being has put it down as low on the drop-down, it won't get flagged up. And then the owner comes and says, oh, blah, 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 this, that. You know what? Because your company is lax, I'm going to get my legal team involved. I'm going to get my lawyers and all that. Because now I'm not putting a claim of 6-figure. Now I'm actually putting in a 7-figure claim. Do you know what that impact is on that insurance company?
I understand what you're saying. I thought you have find trouble now for Louis. Louis, your hand is up. Thank you.
Pastor, we experience similar issues, but there are remedies to all of this. It rarely happens. Like when you spoke about automation, for instance, we're working on a software and the wrong data is put into the wrong place. The system will not allow you progress or to action a policy.
Yeah.
It will just tell you there's something wrong here, and you have to go back, look into what you've put into the data in order for the system to accept it before it will allow you go.
Absolutely.
And
that's
also,
what I'm trying to,
and also there's another team of also hired experts that actually look into what you've done before they action it itself. Because when you're giving a command for this to happen in some organization, some other people are also looking into it before it goes through. If not, then if it just goes through like that, I think that's not a good filter in order to avoid things like this happening.
Can just sign something off like that. It's not.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that. So yeah.
You'll be surprised. So this is
we're not doubting what you're saying. That would be a program that is wrongly. And
so this is £5 million we're talking about here. So it was one person's. So everything had gone through. Reports had been printed and all. Then all of a sudden, the person just remembers that, you know what, I need to claim that money, and that money was £8 million after the reports and everything had been printed. It was a backlash on us.
Really?
Yes.
When you cross,
You know,
course,
The system,
Pastor,
the
yeah,
system was
I had an
automated.
experience with an automobile company. They
Mm.
called in ranting, "Oh, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this," and clearly the policy does not state for you to do that. And I asked them. They were asking me directly, "We know you're in charge of this. Please, can you do this right now for this customer? Because it's a brand new vehicle. And the policy does not clear the customer for that." Do you know what I did? I said, "Okay." I just spoke to the person, "What's your name?" And they were asking me, why is this guy going for that? I didn't say much. I didn't argue. I said, "Okay, what's your department?" They said this and that. I said, "Good. Are you now saying I should do this on behalf of this customer? Are you authorizing it? Give me the authorization." That's where they got hooked. And they said, "Okay, I'll call you back." They didn't call back again.
Yeah, it's also happened to me before, but I was very wise on that. When I was a works manager and also a section engineer of a very big company in UK here, the plan I put together in order to avoid overrun. These guys, they want to abort the plan timeline. Okay, and once it's overall, for every 1 minute, my company will pay at £20,000 for 1 minute. When you
Wow.
get, oh yes, I mean, if you understand that now, because I work in one of the big,
20,000 per minute.
one of the big,
Hey,
one of the big
Papu.
construction, one of the big construction company in Europe.
You-
So,
you're very, you're very right.
so I was having a team of about 40 engineers under me, and each of engineers have got different eight each of them. So when I actually renew Warren Street to Oxford Circus Underground. So I was the one that designed the renewal from Warren Street to Oxford Circus. Remove the rays from the underground and put it back with a special design. So the thing is that when you allow a company, if it was a very big person in the underground in possessions, when you overrun by 1 minute, £20,000, and just imagine when they say there's a train delay because of engineering work overnight, you know how much is that? Do you know once you have 20 minutes or 1 hour delay, do you know how much is that?
Pastor,
Very big.
who is taking all this money?
It's when you talk about commercial issues, it's about quantity surveyor and the commercial people are involved in that. They work with time, and there are always, policy put in place to make sure we must have to follow. That's how it is. So, and these are all data that need to be well kept. And once you have it, so you don't overplan. Okay, if you're supposed to hand over the ray in 2 o'clock in the morning or for 3 o'clock in the morning, make sure 2 o'clock or 1.5, 1:30 in early in the morning, you get out. All your plan must stop that, because if there is any overrun or overrun, you have to have what is called contingency factor in your planning. So to avoid anything. So, but there are people who want to delay your work. They don't want to make sure things are done right. People are coming, instead of to get to the work, they were, I want to have a break, I want to smoke, I want this, that, get to the job and get it done. So if not, any mistake of whatever, you got to pay. That's why if you try to avoid, but in a system whereby you have things put in place to ensure that these things are right, you must automate it, just like Louis said, because you can't go further if this is not resolved, because within the threshold put together in terms of risk analysis or metrics put in place to make sure these are rated critical. And if you rate it low, you can't go further because your system will say, no, you can't move further. So you do not need third party or another person going to sign it off over there to seed your error. Your error will be flashed right from the one, because there is automation for validity right from the one. As soon as you're having a draw done, unless somebody want to force the system that you must accept. That is why sometimes when we have a drawback or drop down, you pick an option there. You pick an option, we ask you, are you really sure? Say yes or no. So it's trying to tell you that maybe what you're doing is not right. Even if it's right, you have to be sure of what you're doing before move further. So these are all things put in place to avoid this risk and non-compliance issue. Otherwise, as if he said, it has a real effect. If your hand is up, I have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm going to take a typical example of filling out a form. Are you a British? Okay, you're filling out a form, say for a nuclear energy job or something, or plant or something. The first question they will ask you on there: Are you a British citizen?
Or
Yes.
you're working MI5 or
yes
MI5.
or no. You
Or
put your drop down. Your drop down say your drop down. You put that yes, I'm a British citizen. In reality, you're not a British citizen. If you're a British citizen, do you have a UK pass? Do you have a British passport? Yes, no. You put yes. Were you born in the UK? Yes, no. You put no. Automatically, you've already invalidated the first two drop down questions, right? Someone picks it up at the other end, and because it's automated, automatically the first two questions, right? They all say yes, yes, yes. It goes through. They pick up that person is automatically known as a British citizen. But in reality, when it comes to physical face-to-face question or online or whatever, Zoom or something or Teams, that person says, no, I'm not a British citizen. Or no, I don't have a British passport. Automatically, the system has gone through to say that person is British, but in reality, that person is not British. So this is where I say human errors, even on drop down, could also be faulted.
Yeah, but what we're talking about now, that is that in terms of threshold and measurement, that could not be too critical. For example,
You'll be surprised at how critical that could be.
Yeah, okay, wait. Now let's talk about this. I think I have only 1 minute. So let's talk about this because when you talk about measurement of the kind of risk and non-compliance issue, we look at the breach and also the amount that we can talk about. When you talk about that British, this is a typical example you brought. Okay, but they will not. You cannot be fined heavily on that. So they look at this. Okay, the worst they can tell you is to deny you not to go on. But I quite agree. You can do certain things and get it and go further. But in which place you may be asked another question. You now say no. That no automatically negate the former ones, and they will say, okay, you know what? Go back. You can't move further again. So it happens. Whichever may be the case, all these examples for us to learn, and we as program directors and data governance manager and governance and leads, we must always be very careful anytime to make sure we have data quality. In any case, thank you so everyone that have contributed and those who are also hearing, working from wherever they are. In conclusion, it is the concept is not mere technical concern, but it's a strategic imperative. The plan is tied into the corporate goals and objectives of every enterprise, okay? Because companies prioritize it so high, especially data accuracy, completeness, consistency, and reliability going well, a comparative advantage over their competitors in most cases. So, and by implementing a well-renowned and robust strategies and leverage model tools, which are softwares, businesses can really ensure that their data services serves as a trustworthy, that is credible foundation for a critical decision-making, innovation, and success in data-driven world that we are today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you all. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask me. Thank you. If you enjoyed today, also let me know by your thumbs up or send me a message across. Thank you. I like your thumbs up. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you for that heart, that blowing something. Okay, that's very good. Oh, thank you, sir. Ashbo for United States of Africa, a country called Nigeria, maybe Asurop or Lagos. Okay. Paul from Asurop. Thank you for coming. And blessing, Vanduhi. A blessing. Thank you for coming, Ramsey. Ramsey, thank you for coming. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Amy Begs. Amy Begs for you. Okay. Thank you for coming. A blessing from Blessing Liar. I hope you enjoy yourself today. Okay. If we put a lot of flags there, that could be Nigeria. I understand that. Thank you. Thank you, Sylvester Ojobo, for coming as well. Okay, Louis, thank you. Thank you, Barrister Emmanuel, with love. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure having you people today.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to sign off now. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Yeah, Louis, thank you for your time as well to come over, even when you're busy. Okay. All right.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Blessing.